everyone, welcome back to my channel. This video I'm going to show you my favourite cake combination, which is lemon meringue little loaf cakes. I'll try and say that really quickly. So what I'm going to do is actually make my basic sponge recipe, which is also on my channel, but I'm going to add a little twist to it. And I've also got this new baking tin, which I really want to try out, so I thought this was a good excuse to. So they're almost like these little loaf cakes, which hopefully they'll turn out really sweet. What I've done, I've actually buttered them, and even though they are non-stick, I always like to just make sure that they won't stick to the cakes, because that's just the last thing you want. And I've buttered them and just lined the bottom with a strip of baking paper. So the tin's prepared, so I'm going to get on with the cake. We need 250 grams of unsalted butter, 250 grams of caster sugar, 200 grams of eggs, which is the equivalent of 4 medium eggs, 250 grams of self-raising flour, so it's already got the raising agent in. And I'm also going to be flavouring the cake with 2 lemons. Now a lot of lemon cakes only need 1, but I love intensifying the flavours of any cake I do, so I always double the flavour. So to start, I'm going to put the butter into a saucepan to melt. And I'm putting it on a low heat just so it melts through slowly rather than heat up to start bubbling. Okay, so the butter's melted through. So again, it's not too hot, it's just got to the point of melting. I'm going to add in my caster sugar. And I'm going to use a whisk to mix it just because I find it easier and quicker. And I can also put just a splash of vanilla extract straight in as well. Mix that in. It just enhances all the flavours. I always put it in all my cakes. So once the sugar and butter is mixed in, you get like this almost thick paste. You can now add your eggs, and you just need to double check that it's not hot at all, because if it's too hot it will cook the eggs and you don't want that. Then go straight in and break them up slightly before you mix it through. And now you can add the flour. That just goes straight in, you don't need to sift it. Then on top of the flour, that's when I like to zest the lemons. So I'm using a fine zester. These are really good. I find these easier than like a stand grater, and you get really fine zest out of it. And if you can, use unwaxed lemons, just because they're 10 times easier to zest. And you can already smell that it's so citrusy. There's nothing better than a lemon cake, really. So now I'm just going to stir in the flour and the zest. So now I can fill the tin. Now you can pour the mixture in because it's a really loose mixture, but I've got a little trick to make your life a little bit easier. And it's with one of these, ice cream scoop, and it just makes sure not only that they're all even, but it's a lot cleaner, and I just find it a lot easier. Just going to scoop up the mix and go straight into each loaf. And I actually think in this case, with the size I'm using, 1 scoop's enough. So what I like to do is actually clean up as much as I can, just because otherwise it will cook and burn in the oven, all these little splashes. So it just makes your life a bit easier. I'm gonna wipe them away. Okay, so they look really even, and that's because I've used the ice cream scoop. Now they're going to need about 15 to 20 minutes in the oven. I'll check them after 15, because they are smaller than obviously a normal cake, but they are slightly larger than a cupcake. So they're going in at 180 degrees Celsius until they're nicely golden brown. So lemon cakes are done. They are smelling absolutely delicious. And hopefully it's just going to be a case of me flipping the tin upside down and them all popping out. So here's a moment of truth. they have all come out. So that really is non-stick. Thank you, Lakeland. Right, so I'm actually going to take off the metal bits, but word of caution, they're going to be hot. So take them off using a heat-proof oven cloth like I have, or just wait till they're slightly more cool. I'm also going to remove just the bit of paper that I had at the bottom. And this will allow the cake to breathe while it's cooling down. Now some overflowed slightly, maybe there was a little too much in the loaf section, but that's absolutely fine. Once they're cold, I'm going to trim them so they all look really even. Okay, so I'm just going to leave these to completely cool down until they're back to room temperature before I start to decorate them. So I've got the lemon cakes cooling down nicely here, and as part of the decoration I thought it'd be nice to make some caramelized or crystallized lemon zest. And to do that, I've actually got a really fancy zester, and it's the most therapeutic, amazing feeling to zest a lemon. That sounds really weird, but I'll show you what I mean. It kind of grates it in these long lines, so I push this in and it just peels. I just think that's amazing. Maybe it's just one of those things that you have to do to try. But yeah, you're just actually getting the lemon rind off. So all this lemon rind, you don't actually get the bitter white, which you can see showing through here. It's just getting the very edge of the rind, and that's going to be absolutely delicious once it's crystallized. So I'm going to pop that into a saucepan. But I'll also show you how to get it if you don't have one of these jazzy zesters. And what you just need to do is cut off the rind, so very gently cut around the lemon like that. And then what you want to do is actually remove that white pith almost. So just by going away from you with a knife, just removing that white. And then you're left with just the yellow. Let's do that again. And once you've just got the lemon rind, you can now cut it into thin strips. And that is just as good as using the zester itself. So I'm going to add this to the pan. And what I'm going to do is pour over some normal water. So it's just normal cold water, and just enough so it's covering the rind. And now I'm going to turn it on to a medium heat and just wait for it to boil. And what I'm doing is actually flushing away the bitterness. So I'm going to do this a couple of times before we add the sugar. Right, so it's come up to the boil, so now I'm going to strain away that liquid. And what this liquid is all the bitter flavour of the lemon, so you don't actually want that. I'm just going to repeat the same process. So for the third time, instead of going with just water, I'm actually going to do a mixture of water and sugar, and these are going to be equal amounts, and I'm doing 200 grams of caster sugar and 200 millilitres of water. And then I'm going to add the zest to the pan as well. And turn it on to a medium-high heat. And what it's going to happen is that the sugar's going to dissolve in it, and then it's going to start crystallizing the lemon peel. And then the lemon peel is going to slightly go translucent. And it's at that point when you know it's ready. In the meantime, I'm just going to discard the bitter water into the sink, but we actually want to keep the syrup that it's about to make. So the sugar has dissolved in the water and the lemon rind is just about ready. It's starting to go translucent. And you can actually pick one up and taste one for yourself. And just see if it's cooked enough. And that needs like a minute longer. It's still a tiny bit tough, but the sweetness is definitely there. Okay, so the rind is ready. And what I'm going to do is transfer the lovely syrup that we've just made straight into a heat-proof bowl. And and you can see that all the rind is starting to go nice and translucent. So I'm just going to transfer them onto this plate. And that is the candied peel done. Now this sugar syrup I'm going to allow to cool down, and that is what I'm actually going to soak the lemon cakes with, so nothing goes to waste. So the final element of our lemon meringue cakes is obviously the meringue. So I'm doing an Italian meringue, which is double the amount of caster sugar to egg white. So I'm going to put 50 grams of egg white into a stand mixer with a whisk attachment. And then the 100 grams of caster sugar into a saucepan. And with a little covering of water. I'm going to heat this up to 118 degrees Celsius, which is soft ball stage. And while the sugar's heating, I'm going to put the egg whites onto whisk. So the sugar's up to temperature, the egg whites are nice, white and fluffy, and I'm just going to pour the hot sugar down the side of the bowl of the egg whites. And whack the speed up high and mix until it's cool. Right, let's check this meringue. Look at that. That's a good meringue. It's got that lovely shine to it too. So I'm just going to tap the excess off the whisk. And here I've got a piping bag. Now, this is just me being me. This tip is called, it's a Wilton 125. I think it's actually their flower petal tip. I'm not going to pipe with the flower, you'll see what I do with it. But you can use any tip, or you don't even have to do this bit. It's completely up to you. But I like showing off, so I'm doing it. I'm going to fill the piping bag with this glossy meringue. Make sure it's nice and secured at the top, and we are ready to construct our lemon meringue cakes. So to assemble the lemon meringue cakes, we've got our lemon cakes that have been cooled completely, our Italian meringue topping, our crystallized lemon zest, and the syrup that we've saved from the zest. I've got some edible flowers because I put them on pretty much anything because they're so beautiful. I've also got some of my lemon curd. Now if you want to make this, head over to the eye in the little corner there and you can see my recipe on how I make this lemon curd. And I've also got a blowtorch because we're going to torch the meringue. Now the first thing I'm going to do is actually just even off all these little cakes. Now to you they might look even, but I don't know if I've mentioned before, but I have OCD. So what I'm going to do is actually turn them upside down. Now I'm going to use the bottom as the top, just because it's really flat, and I think to make them all look as even as possible, I just want them all the same shape. So I'm going to leave them upside down like this, and then I'm going to trim off either side using a serrated knife. So any excess that went over the edge will come away, and then turn it on its side, and I'm just going to remove the very top. So I've got this perfect little loaf cake, and I'm just going to repeat that to all of them until I get them all the same size. So with all of the cake scraps, don't throw cake scraps away. You can either just nibble on them, or you can actually make them into cake pops just by mixing it with buttercream and using the crumbs of the cake scraps. But I'm just going to put them to the side for now. So now I'm going to soak the cakes. So I've just put a board on underneath just to make a little bit less mess. And here I have my sugar syrup secret bottle that I make. So it's a plastic bottle with holes in the lid. It just makes it 10 times easier to sugar soak cakes. I'm just going to pour in the cooled syrup into the bottle. And simply sprinkle it all over the cakes. So as you can see, the board has caught all that sugar syrup, so I'm just going to take that away. Okay, so just before the meringue goes on, I'm going to put a filling of lemon curd inside. Now I've got a small rounded nozzle. This is actually Wilton 12 if anyone's interested. I'm going to poke 3 holes along the cake. 1, 2, 3. And now I'm going to fill each of the holes with this delicious zingy lemon curd. And that is so when you bite into the cake, even though it's so lemony already, you just get this extra hit. I'm going to fill it up using a piping bag. So just to wipe away the excess, I've got this palette knife and I'm just going to go over the top like that. Just so when we pipe on the meringue, it won't slide away because of the lemon curd. So now for the fun part, the meringue. I'm going to put it so the tip is the thin point at the top and then the wide part at the bottom. I'm going to go from left to right, kind of creating this swirl down the cake. Wow, really, really cool. I love that piping nozzle. So now I'm going to blowtorch the meringue. So I've got a blowtorch here. Young ones, be careful, it's fire. And I'm just going to go and toast the meringue slightly. Okay, so you can see that the blowtorch has really brought out the shape of the piping of the meringue. So now it's just time to decorate. So I'm going to get a few of these strands of lemon zest that we crystallized. And I just like placing a couple over the meringue, because you want to remind people what the cake is. And just to finish them off, a little edible flower. And I think they're done. Now, don't know about you, but I'm gonna literally have to get into one right now. I really want to cut it open and see that lemon curd on the inside too. So as you can see, there's a nice amount of lemon curd in the middle, and I'm just gonna have to stuff my face with it, so do excuse me. That is so light. It's not heavy buttercream, it's a really light meringue, and it's sweet, but the lemon gives it this tanginess. Oh, it's just, whoever invented lemon meringue deserves a prize, because it's definitely the best cake flavour. Try them out, I'm telling you, try these, they're absolutely delicious. Impress your friends. You could do them any shape. I just did this because I wanted to try out the loaf tin, and I really like the way that they turned out too. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it. They're my lemon meringue loaf cakes. Give them a go. Tag me at Georgia's Cakes, or head over to Instagram to check out all my other cakes that I've done. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to my channel, and head over to see all my other cakes that I've created. I hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.